Tonight, WWE Hell in a Cell takes place from the Amway Center in Orlando, Florida. Inside the WWE ThunderDome, we have three Hell in a Cell matches taking place tonight on the pay-per-view. One such Hell in a Cell match is for the WWE Championship, as we have WWE Champion Drew McIntyre defending the championship against challenger Randy Orton. Now, of course, this is going to be the third time that Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre have faced off for the championship. You had the first time, which was SummerSlam for the WWE Championship. Drew McIntyre won via a backslide. You had the second time, which of course was at Clash of Champions, the ambulance match, which Drew McIntyre won after you had interference from the likes of Shawn Michaels, Christian, The Big Show, and even Ric Flair driving away the ambulance. But this is going to be the third time. It's going to be inside Hell in a Cell, and I think surely at this point this has to be the final match of the feud. I think so. I mean, this match has been going on, this feud rather, has been going on since August, since prior to August when we had the first inklings of the Randy Orton and Drew McIntyre feud. Now, to be honest, and I'm not going to criticise this feud because I don't think it's been bad. I don't think it's been bad at all. I think Drew McIntyre referred to Randy Orton as his Joker, right? He said, eventually when I face him, I'm going to be Batman, he's going to be the Joker. I don't know if I would go that far in saying that he's the Joker to the Batman. I don't see that. I do think it has been a good feud, though. I think both guys have done a good job with the creative at certain points, which has been a little bit off. I think I enjoyed the first part of the story heading into SummerSlam. I thought Randy Orton kicking all of the legends in the head, whether it was Big Show, whether it was Shawn Michaels, whether it was Christian, whether it was Ric Flair, even Edge. I thought all of that was very well done. I thought that was a really good way of building up Randy Orton. I thought Randy Orton, and I still do, to be honest, I felt Randy Orton has been arguably the MVP of WWE in 2020. Now, I know a lot of people will probably say other people. Some people might say Drew McIntyre. Some people might say even MVP himself. Some people might say Bayley, Sasha Banks, Asuka. I've mentioned this quite a few times at this point that, in my opinion, you've got MVPs of chapters of WWE throughout 2020. You know, Asuka during those empty Performance Center shows was absolutely fantastic. Sasha Banks and Bayley throughout the summer when they had their partnership and they were on Raw, SmackDown, and NXT, they were fantastic. MVP, I think, has done tremendous work over the period of 2020. Roman Reigns, in the last couple of months during this heel turn by Roman Reigns, I think arguably has been the MVP of WWE. But if you're going to look at this year as a whole, if you're going to look at this year as an entirety, I don't think anyone can touch Randy Orton. I really don't. I think you look at Randy Orton and the place to pinpoint this is the night after the Royal Rumble. Obviously, you had Edge return at the Royal Rumble. Unbelievable moment. It's one of the... It feels like a lifetime ago because there was a crowd there. There was a response. There was so much hope for WrestleMania and excitement for WrestleMania. Regardless, if you go back to the night after the Royal Rumble when Randy Orton turns on Edge and does the concerto, you had people in the crowd crying, screaming out because they were concerned for Edge. All of that, it was brilliant, and it was the catalyst for the true rebirth of what Randy Orton is best at, and that is being a villainous, psychopathic heel that is unhinged yet incredibly calculated and evil. I think that was the catalyst for it, because since then we've seen him take out Matt Hardy, we've seen him take out or have his feud with Edge, which, regardless of your opinion on their match at WrestleMania, which did go too long, or the greatest wrestling match ever, which was never going to be the greatest wrestling match ever, but the match itself was very, very good. The promos that Randy Orton has cut this year and the matches that he's had with Drew McIntyre, I thought even his unsanctioned match with The Big Show was good. I've got to say that you look at that roster, I don't think anyone has been as consistent. No one has been delivering as high quality matches and promos as Randy Orton this year in WWE. Nobody has been at his level. He is, for me, maybe not now because of Roman Reigns' development over the last few months as the heel on SmackDown, but this year so far he had been the top heel in the company. I think overall he has been the top heel in the company. He's been the best performer in 2020 overall, and I think it's crazy when you think about Randy Orton and you think about his career in WWE. You think about everything this guy has done. He made his main roster debut in 2002, and he was pretty much on top in WWE from 2003. I know he won the world title in 2004, but even in 2003, this guy was a top heel on Raw as Intercontinental Champion, had a feud with Mick Foley, etc. Since then, he has been on top. So that's 17 years from 2003, 18 years from his debut, 17 years from being on top, and he is better than ever. He is incredible. He is absolutely incredible, and I don't think enough people give credit to how great Randy Orton is. And I think that's probably because over the last few years, prior to 2020, when he was on SmackDown and when he was a babyface, he kind of drifted down into the mid-card, but he was always Randy Orton. So whenever WWE needed to, they could put him in the main event. They could put him in a main event of WrestleMania. They could put him in a main event of a pay-per-view. They could maybe put him in a main event championship feud because he was Randy Orton. And when you're Randy Orton like that, it almost, I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but he's always Randy Orton. He's a safe bet. But I think that has led some people to sort of forget truly who Randy Orton is, forget his abilities, how great he can be. And just, he's a legend. I think we take him for granted. I really do think we take him for granted. But in terms of this feud of Drew McIntyre, as I mentioned, I enjoyed the first part of it. I really did enjoy the part heading into SummerSlam. I thought the match at SummerSlam was good. I don't know if it fully met expectations, but I thought it was good. I felt that at Clash of Champions for their ambulance match, I must backtrack a little bit here, is that we've heard the rumours and reports when it comes to this feud that coming out of this feud, Randy Orton was going to be the WWE Champion. We'd heard that obviously we'd seen that he had his match with Edge at WrestleMania. He then had the second match at Backlash, the greatest wrestling match ever. He won the match at Backlash. Edge won the match at WrestleMania, and there is place for the third. There is place for the rubber match. And multiple reports now have said that Vince McMahon wants that rubber match to be at WrestleMania 37. There have been rumours about it being an I Quit match, and there have been rumours about it being for the WWE Championship. So, if that match is going to be for the WWE Championship, at some point Randy Orton has to win the WWE title. And I thought that it was going to happen at SummerSlam. Pretty much every time they've had the match, I felt like it was going to happen. I felt like it was going to happen at SummerSlam. It didn't. We had the backslide. I went, oh, okay, surprising. I really thought it was going to happen at Clash of Champions because of the ambulance match stipulation. I felt that, thinking about it, that it was the perfect opportunity to switch the title because it protected Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre, when Randy Orton pinned him on Monday Night Raw a few weeks ago, that was the first time he had been pinned in about a year. He has been heavily, heavily protected, as he should be. He's the WWE Champion. He shouldn't be doing jobs every week on Monday Night Raw. So it was absolutely right to be protected like that. So it shows how much he's been protected. So I felt that whenever he does lose the WWE Championship, because he will lose it eventually, everyone does, I felt that it would be in a way that protected Drew McIntyre. It would be in a way that ensures that he doesn't look weak, and it would be in a way that in the future he can pick up the WWE title again and run with it. So I felt that the ambulance match was the perfect scenario to do that, because it protects whoever loses. It can. You can book it in a way that protects whoever loses. You think about the ambulance match between Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman. They had a scenario a few years ago when they had an ambulance match that Roman Reigns went to go for a spear, Braun Strowman moved and just shut the doors and he won the match. I felt that there was something similar that they could do with Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre in that sense. They didn't. But I felt that was what they could do with that, but they didn't go with that. Instead, you had the Legends interfere, you had Drew McIntyre punt Randy Orton in the head, and he won that match. Now, you fast forward to tonight's match, it's inside Hell in a Cell. And to be honest, I think this is a match and feud that's worthy of Hell in a Cell, I really do. I think I've mentioned in other videos that my issue with Hell in a Cell and my issue with this pay-per-view is that it's watered down and it's weakened. It really has weakened the Hell in a Cell format. It's weakened the Hell in a Cell match because back when I was younger and historically, you only had a Hell in a Cell match once the match and feud deserved to have it. You maybe saw it once a year, if that. Just the name of having Hell in a Cell felt like a big deal. Just the fact of having a Hell in a Cell match felt like, whoa, this is massive. So even just saying the name got a huge reaction from the crowd, and that has changed. That has changed since the introduction of this pay-per-view. That has changed because Hell in a Cell at this point, it no longer, I don't want to say it doesn't feel like a big deal because it does, but it doesn't have that visceral energy that it used to. It doesn't have that big, whoa, this is a big deal. It used to have that, but it really doesn't anymore. That I would say is the issue when it comes to Hell in a Cell. But I do think that this is a feud that is worthy of Hell in a Cell. I think obviously they've had, I mentioned, this is their third match in the trilogy. This has been going on a while. This has got personal. I mean, they've kicked each other in the head 3 or 4 times each. You've had Randy Orton attack legends. You've had Randy Orton attack Drew McIntyre. He's pinned Drew McIntyre. It's got personal. It's got personal. And when a feud like this gets personal, it means that it's worthy of Hell in a Cell. It really does mean it's worthy of Hell in a Cell. So I think that this match is worthy of Hell in a Cell. I am looking forward to it. Drew McIntyre is WWE Champion. I feel like Drew McIntyre has done a good job as WWE Champion. To be honest, his run as WWE Champion is so unenviable. It really is. This is a guy that, we spoke about Edge returning at the Royal Rumble earlier. If you go back to January, when Drew McIntyre eliminated Brock Lesnar at the Royal Rumble, everyone was so excited. You go back and you look at that pop, because Drew McIntyre, he was being elevated and he was going to the next level. And I think everyone thought this is it. We're going to get Drew McIntyre as a main event level talent. We're going to get Drew McIntyre in a position that he deserves to be in. Finally, Drew McIntyre is getting his opportunity to thrive and to succeed. He's going to win the WWE Championship at WrestleMania. He's going to go on this big run. He's being elevated to the guy status on Monday Night Raw. And then what happened? What happened? The pandemic happened, and like everything in 2020, the pandemic it ruined things. It caused chaos. And this is a guy that he's been the WWE Champion, since April? So April, May, June, July, August, September, October, 6 months, maybe 7 months. And he has performed in front of 0 fans. 0 fans. But let's not count the people in the Performance Center. Let's not count people's relatives. Let's not count any things like that. He has performed in front of 0 fans as WWE Champion. And that is so difficult. That is so difficult to keep momentum. That is so difficult to stay relevant, stay popular, not think that you're doing a bad job. You can't gauge if you're doing well or not. And especially as a babyface champion too. And during this time as well, the ratings have been going down. That's not Drew McIntyre's fault. The ratings have been going down for Raw for years, and they've just been accelerated by the pandemic. They've been accelerated by people cutting the cables on their cable feeds because they can't afford it. They've been accelerated by people watching presidential elections. They've been accelerated by people watching the news because they don't know what's going on in the world right now. That's not Drew McIntyre's fault. So it's really been unenviable. But I do think he's done an absolutely brilliant job. I do think he's done an absolutely brilliant job because regardless of all this stuff that's been going on, I think he has somehow maintained the will of the people. And that is rare. That is really rare, because you look at other people that have been in his position over the last couple of years, they haven't done that. And I know it's been different circumstances for them, but you look at Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns, even before coming champion, he was getting booed. But once he became champion, he got absolutely booed. Seth Rollins, it wasn't just a Roman Reigns thing. Seth Rollins, he became the guy. He became the babyface champion. He got booed. And was that because of the booking? Yes. Was that because of bad storylines? Yes. But that was also because of their characters. Roman Reigns' character, I don't blame him. I don't think that was his fault. Seth Rollins, some of the blame does have to be on him. When he was the Universal Champion last year, yes, he was booked horrendously. The feuds he was booked in were terrible. The promos he had were terrible. The character he was portraying was terrible. But also he was saying things on social media, getting into silly fights, talking about his bank account and talking about this and that. And it didn't endear him to the WWE Universe. And I think it soured people on him very quickly. Now, he's doing a fantastic job as a heel. I think he's more natural as a heel. But Drew McIntyre has had arguably even harsher circumstances on his side. And yet I would think he still has the will of the people. You look at social media, everyone thinks he's doing a great job. If he was inside of a WWE arena right now and there was a full crowd of people there, he would be getting cheered, even by the smart marks. So I think, to me, that shows what a fantastic job Drew McIntyre has done so far as WWE Champion. You have to give him credit for that. However, when it comes to his WWE Championship reign, I do think it ends tonight. Now, once again, I know at this point I have said this for every WWE Championship match he has had with Randy Orton. I said it for SummerSlam, I said it for Clash of Champions, and I'm going to say it again for tonight for Hell in a Cell, because I do truly think that those reports are accurate. I do think we're going to get Randy Orton versus Edge for the WWE Championship next year. What I will say about that is I don't think they need the WWE Championship for Randy Orton and Edge. I don't think look, Randy Orton and Edge sells itself. These are two legends. One's a Hall of Famer. Randy Orton is a first ballot Hall of Famer himself. The matches in their rivalry have been good. I thought the second match at Backlash was excellent. And I think Randy Orton versus Edge 3 and maybe an I Quit match, I think sells itself. You don't need the WWE Championship. By all accounts, Vince McMahon has got his heart set on that match. So that means Randy Orton is going to become the WWE Champion once again. Would it be a fantastic story to have Edge become WWE Champion again after his miraculous return and he'd been told he could never take a bump again in the ring, and then eventually he does come back, and not only does he come back, but he wins the WWE Championship after being injured again? What a story. That would be a great story. But is Edge going to be full-time in the ring? Is Edge going to be there every Raw to defend the WWE Championship? Of course he isn't. Of course he isn't. So I don't think the feud needs the WWE title. Does it add stakes? Of course it does. WWE adds stakes to anything. But I don't know if that feud really needs it. But that looks to be in the direction that we are going with this. So I think Randy Orton wins the WWE Championship tonight at Hell in a Cell. I do. If he does, that to me means it's got to be a clean pin. And again, I mentioned why I thought it was going to happen at Clash of Champions, because I felt that it could protect Drew McIntyre. In Hell in a Cell, it can't. It doesn't protect Drew McIntyre, because unless Randy Orton hits about 10 punt kicks and then maybe hits him with a spanner, that he'll pin Drew McIntyre. Does that protect him? I don't know. He still has to be pinned clean. So it's a very interesting circumstance there, I think, if that is the direction that they go in tonight for this Hell in a Cell match. But I am going to go with Randy Orton to win the WWE Championship here. I wouldn't be shocked. If Drew McIntyre retained, but I do think this is going to be the Viper's time tonight. I do think that, unfortunately, Drew McIntyre's title reign will come to an end. Now, I must say as well, with Drew McIntyre, the WWE Championship, I don't think this is going to be the last time Drew McIntyre holds the WWE Championship. In fact, I think he will hold it again probably in 2021. And I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest if essentially they try and forget this year. Yes, Drew McIntyre is WWE Champion, but they tried to give him that moment. Once we get fans back into the arenas, once we get fans back into the stadiums safely, by the way, not just the WWE, will throw them in like they've been doing in Florida. What I really mean is once we're in the arena safely, we're in the stadium safely, and once we can get good crowds there, good receptions, that's when you have Drew McIntyre win the title again. That's when you give him his moment. Because he deserves it. He deserves it for the work he's done this year. He deserved it to have it at WrestleMania 36, and he couldn't have it. It was taken away from him due to the pandemic. He deserves to have that moment, and I think he will get it. I do think he will get it. It's just a case of getting it eventually, and like I said, once we get fans back, hopefully we can get to that big moment for Drew McIntyre that he has deserved and he has earned. But I think tonight we're going to get Randy Orton become the WWE Champion for what? Is that going to be the 14th time? 15th time? Randy Orton is closing in on that Ric Flair and John Cena record. So I do think Randy Orton will win tonight. If he does win, I don't think it's going to be an RKO and done. I think it's going to be multiple punt kicks, multiple strikes with, chairs, spanners. Maybe the night vision goggles come back out. Who knows? But I do think Randy Orton is going to win tonight. But of course, as always, this is just one man's opinion. What are your thoughts and predictions for tonight's WWE Championship match between WWE Champion Drew McIntyre and the challenger, the Viper, Randy Orton, inside Hell in a Cell? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll be sure to respond and reply to all of your comments. Really enjoy interacting with you guys, chatting about Hell in a Cell with you, chatting about WWE, so be sure to leave a comment. If you have enjoyed this video, please do smash a like on the like button as well. Really just help us out here on YouTube, go up the rankings and get into people's recommendation feeds if they haven't seen our videos previously. So be sure to smash a like on the video. We will be doing a live Hell in a Cell watch along tonight as well, so be sure to subscribe to the channel. You can do that by clicking the bottom right hand corner of the screen right now, or if you wait a few seconds, there'll be a subscribe button at the end of this video along with another video for you to watch. Click that notification bell and you'll be notified as soon as we go live tonight for tonight's Hell in a Cell watch along. So be sure to join us. It's going to be a lot of fun. We did a Bound for Glory watch along last night. That was a lot of fun. And it's going to be a lot of fun to watch Hell in a Cell tonight with all of you guys joining us too. So be sure to subscribe to Wrestling News 365 and you won't miss a thing. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. And I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.